Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our final session of the Cavern of Feminine Mysteries. That's our sixth session, the last one. And so I'll just give a quick rundown of what how it's gonna go today. So as usual, we'll do a little bit of the centering practice through breathing and then enter the sacred space with our cavern. And then we'll journey into growing our intentions to blossom and begin. And then, of course, I just wanted to say a couple of words about our intentions and desires. Of course, you can pick something that something you want for yourself or for the greater good. It's whatever you pick is fine, as long as, of course, it's um, not to harm anyone else, but also I just wanted to mention this, and it's important. Sometimes we see somebody who might want to, might want to heal or something, or people who are going through some illnesses. So basically, without asking them for their express permission for us to do any healing work for them, we can't, it's not a good idea to just start healing somebody or wishing somebody healing energy without them saying, yeah, oh, go ahead, do like an express, given an express permission to do like a journey or a healing ceremony for them. So I just wanted to mention that. So this is something I learned, and it's important. So after that, we'll welcome our special guest, my soul sister, my soul guide, Mariela Maya, and she'll share about the medicine wheel, about the Indian cosmovision, and the token or the sacred Mayan calendar. And hopefully at the end, we'll have some time to ask her questions. And also wanted to mention that since, although it is the last session of the Cavern of Feminine Mysteries, I'm gonna try to start a new season starting with August. So the doors will open about mid-July, and then hopefully by beginning of August, we'll already have a first session. So to be continued. And yeah, so and then after we'll close the sacred space, and as usual, like, don't forget to walk yourself out. If you choose to stay in the cavern for a while, don't forget to walk yourself back to the place where you started. And let's begin with just taking some deep breaths. We'll do the centering practice. And let's try to breathe into our womb space instead of a diaphragm, into our belly area. We'll take 5 deep breaths. So we want to receive on the inhale, and kind of like on the exhale, we say thank you. So receive on the inhale and gratitude on the exhale. And we're taking the prana energy, the life force, into our womb, into our heart. So just be open to it and see, how this feels in your body. And as usual, we'll summon a loving voice within ourselves. Really, and give ourselves some love and compassion. So now that we've had a bit of a centering practice, we can go ahead and maybe, if you like, close your eyes or soften your gaze. And then we'll enter our sacred space, our sacred cavern. So picture yourself walking into our sacred space, our cavern of feminine mysteries. And it is up to you which natural landscape you choose. Perhaps by the ocean, where you can hear the rhythmic, hypnotic sound of the waves gently announcing their arrival ashore? Or is it in the Redstone Desert, where you're in deep, uninterrupted meditative silence? Or maybe in the middle of the temporal forest, in the midst of the giant tall standing ones? Or is it in the lush jungle, where you can hear the echoes of exotic animal spirits calling out to you? Maybe you find yourself on the mountain cliff with strange, mysterious geological formations, like the ones in Meteora, Greece. Take your time, try on different landscapes, and choose the one for today which calls out to you. Once you've chosen the outside ecological setting and before you enter, notice all the nature beings in this place, seen and unseen. Acknowledge them. Ask for their permission to be there. Tell them you come with a big heart and with love. Once you have established a connection with them and your presence is known, proceed to the cave entrance. Is it a space with a semi-open ceiling, or is it fully closed in? It all depends on where you would like to picture yourself today and on your current needs. Do you want the cave to enfold you tightly, or does your body need some spaciousness? Try on different scenarios and feel into your body. This may look a little different for all of you depending on how are you feeling right now and what your needs are. Are you feeling that you need some nurturing and feeling more inward, more internal? Where are you in the great cycle of the seasons, of your own moon time and your energy level? Just notice what your body needs and imagine accordingly. Once you know, picture yourself there and feel yourself there. It is your sacred space, your cavern. So welcome yourself into this space. Know that you're safe here. Your presence is wanted here, and you're always welcome here. As you're coming in, as you enter your sacred cavern, choose your space. Do you want to lay down and maybe just sit alongside your sisters? Do you need a little space to yourself for a while before you join the others? Act in accordance with your inner desires, sense into them. Also know that the cave you chose has a deep, cool artesian spring in one part of it and a hard artesian spring on the other side. So the whole surface floor of the cave is cooling and refreshing on the side associated with the cool spring and warm and soothing on the side associated with the hot spring. So choose your side depending on whether you like some coolness and freshness, or do you wish some warmth deep within your body, your bones, your muscle tissues. Find the place that best suits you. Now imagine you sit or lay down on the soft floor carpeted with a thick layer of moss. And the moss can survive in this environment because there's a bit of light filtering through the cavern ceiling. And besides, this cavern is magic. So if you want to feel the rock under your back for a little massage, choose the place with the rock. Or maybe you want both, the moss and the rock. Once you found your place and you feel yourself settled, rest a while. We always rush around and try to do a lot, and then we blame and judge ourselves for not doing enough. So just cast all of that aside and rest in this space. Imagine yourself laying or sitting on the cavern floor as if you are inside the womb of the mother, your earth mother, and you're loved and supported and utterly taken care of and nourished. Just breathe that love in and let it feel your beingness, your whole body. Let this loving support wash over you. You're safe here. Breathe all of that in deeply. Let it nourish. Let it restore you from within. Soak this mother love into your cellular being and stay in this space for a while and just rest. You don't need to fix anything. Don't need to do anything. Just let yourself, your body, your very own piece of the earth made of bone and mineral, water, fire, spirit, and air, let it rest. Let it be loved by the earth. Let it belong to the earth. She loves you deeply, sister, and longs for you to be whole and happy and nourished and resourced. Breathe that love energy into your belly, your womb space, into the very depth of your soul. And know that you can come back here at any time and stay longer. You can fall asleep here surrounded by her love, her presence. But now we'll come back to ourselves and maybe welcome our other sisters. We have arrived in sacred space. So this cave may look differently and take on different appearances outside and inside, but we are meeting in the same energetic space. So welcome. So I was mentioning before, we'll do a little journey or exercise about growing our intentions, and we'll be visualizing our intention as a seed growing into a plant or a tree or a flower, whatever appeals to you, just pick one. Also, if just be vigilant, like what comes to you through this exercise, remember it. And then maybe when we're done with the session, you can jot it down quickly so you don't forget. Also, if you can't quite see exactly what you want, you can just feel into that frequency of what you want, or what your intention is. It's not even necessarily to verbalize it, because we often start with the feeling before we can verbalize. So don't judge your experience, just experience. Now we'll visualize an empty space, a dark void within your body, and feel for the best place for you. For me, it's my womb. And once I establish a feeling sense of my womb, I send it healing energy right away and energetically connect to the womb of Mother Earth, the deep molten lava space within Mother Earth. And now, since I have established that connection, let's imagine a seed inside your womb. And a plant seed, is nothing but a fertilized plant ovum. So choose any seed you love, an acorn, an almond, a rose seed, have fun. And know that your womb has all the magic within it to make things grow and develop and take shape. I'm going with the womb because since I chose it, choose any place you chose is fine. It can develop any thought form or an intention or a desire. So pick your intention or a project or a desire you come to fruition. Now give your seed the love and encouragement it needs to grow, and to know that you can provide all its needs. Your seed is protected now in its husk. So your job is to cajole it into casting its shell to germinate and reveal the first two leaves, right? The cotyledons. Listen and watch for the signs or messages of what you need to let go of for your desire or your project to start blossoming. Is it some fear or maybe some limiting beliefs that need to be acknowledged before we can let them go and to thank them for protecting the seed in the first place? Now imagine your plant is germinating, right? It's unfurling and starting to grow. Now it's growing into a seedling, and you're supporting it all the while. Imagine it growing, I don't know, at the base of your spinal column, and it's starting to move up each vertebra at a time. And give your intention, your desire, whatever it needs to grow. Now you see it transition into the budding stage and let it come up further up your spine. You can even move and rock from side to side if you want. Just follow your body. You can sing if you like. Whatever feels good and natural to you, and don't stifle it, let it grow. Again, if a feeling or an image or a knowing comes to you during this process, hold it in your being. We are now in the flowering stage. So simultaneously, imagine your intention and your chosen plant beginning to blossom, for the flowers to unfurl and locate it in your body. For example, if your intention was to have amplified intuition, then imagine the stem of the rose climbing out through your spine and the flower coming out right of your third eye. Or if you wanted for love to blossom in your life, then imagine a rose opening out of your heart. And make it beautiful, full of magic, fairies, sparkles all around. Have fun, be creative. Now, if you chose a plant that bears fruit, then see it bear ripe, gorgeous fruit and let it appear wherever you want out of your body. Also visualize this fruit that it makes and know that within it, of course, are the seeds for the new growth. So when you're ready, and if you had any cool images or feelings, sounds come to you, just remember them so that you can write them down later. I will stop the screen share and come back to you. Yes. So I hope you had fun doing it, and this was kind of a lead up meditation to what we're going to be talking about with our guest Mariela Maya, and I'm just so thrilled and humbled that she decided to join us today, and I wanted to share with you the kind of the impact that she had on my life instead of just reading her bio, which you can find in all the emails that I've sent out. And also in the recording, I will again send her bio so you can read about her. But I will just say that I found her by someone mentioned the Mayan, my sister mentioned the Mayan calendar, and I stumbled on her website online, and I started reading, going into her website, and I just have to say her website is so informative and so easy to follow that I just got lost in it for hours and hours, and I started looking up myself and my loved ones, and also not only that, I went back in dates for the wave spells, and I saw how it resonated with my life, basically what the stages of my life that I was going through and what it was in the Mayan calendar. So it was a complete discovery. And then of course I read about Mariela, and I was just mesmerized. And she happened to be organizing a trip to Peru shortly after I stumbled on her website. And I just loved the whole experience. And I thought she was so warm, and she is. She's so warm and amazing that I was just like, I want to follow this woman to Peru. And I went. And of course, the rich experience in Peru was so, I mean, she opened up my world by just introducing us to the local people who spoke Quechua, and we met the Maru community. I mean, everything was breathtaking and colorful visually and emotionally. And we've done some despacho ceremonies, things I've never heard about in my whole life. Also, we worked with music and the crystal balls. I mean, it was so new and so strange to me, but we worked with the medicine wheel also, but it just made such an impact. It sowed seeds at that time in my life, and I didn't understand it at that point. So, and it's interesting, and that now it's like, I think they're starting to blossom. Like it was many years ago, so that's what it feels like to me. So, with this, I introduce you our wonderful speaker, Mariela, and then she can fill in the gaps and introduce herself more. And because she has an exciting interest in life, she worked for United Nations, she has an MBA. She's a very, very interesting woman. She didn't grow up in the States. So let's bring her in. Yes, welcome, Mariela.
Oh,
Welcome, welcome.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for the beautiful connection to the guided meditation and the journey. And it was very colorful for me. I really experienced very vivid colors and very expansive heart. So thank you. It was very, very beautiful. Before I start sharing a little bit about myself, I want to show you a few things that I'm going to be talking about it later. This is a physical representation of the medicine wheel. So whatever I'm going to be showing you right now, I'm going to be placing in this circle that is divided in 4 parts. And I'm going to start with the rose quartz. That is very sacred to me. It's from Capilla del Monte in Argentina that we also shared that beautiful place. And the rose quartz is for the heart. So I want to connect first with our heart space, as I'll be sharing today, which also makes me very excited because generally when I share, I'm invited to an event or an interview, it's always about like one thing. And today, whatever comes, I just want to share a few of the tools and modalities and things that have been very, very instrumental for me in my growth since the 90s. And then we're going to dedicate some time at the end to the Tolkien Mayan calendar. And I have some of your dates. So I'm going to make it super fun and super easy to understand if it's all new for you. And this rose quartz will help us to ground, to integrate that energy on a heart level. So I'm placing it in the place of the earth to connect with our physicality, with Pachamama, Mother Earth. And I have here a little bowl of water that I'm going to add a couple of drops from this little bottle. Everywhere I go, all the sacred places that I've been around the world, I always bring a couple of drops here. I always bring a little bit of water. So this little bottle has waters from places in Capilla del Monte. I don't know if you remember Los Terrones. It has waters here from Sedona, where I am located. It has water from Lake Titicaca. Mount Shasta, I haven't been in Mount Shasta, but a friend of mine sent me some water. So it has waters from many, many sacred places. So I activated the little bowl of water with sacred waters from all over the world to connect with our inner flow, to connect with our emotions. And as Maya shared with us so beautifully, the seed, in order to grow, needs to let go of the skin, the shell, what keeps her protected. But the seed is meant to blossom, not to stay as a seed forever. So one of the invitations of the water in this flow of life is also to allow this flow of shedding to happen rather than holding onto things that we know that no longer serve us. So I'm going to continue with the element of air. I was looking for some incense to share, and here with all the alarms, Palo Santo or sage, it was not the best idea right now. So I brought this, I don't know if you can see the name of it.
Yes, we can see the goddess, yes.
The goddess energy. HM is one of my favorite brands for incense from India. They're very, very good. So I'm going to light it up and bring in the element of air through smudging. So we have here the element of air with a feather. So we can share the goddess energy in this beautiful cavern of the divine feminine. To open our hearts, and also the air that helps us to gain clarity, to open our minds, to shift our perception, to allow ourselves to see things differently. I'm putting it here. And also with the element of air, this is called an ocarina. It's from Peru. It's a musical instrument that is used for many ceremonial purposes. And one of them is to call the energy of the apus, the spirits of the mountains. And I am looking right now at one of the main vortex energies of Sedona. So this is a very, very sacred place, a sacred land where I'm located. So I'm going to invoke, I'm going to bring in the sacredness, the spirits of the mountains and the vortex energy of the area. With the element of air, the sacred sound, the sacred vibration of sound. And let's put the feather. I'm placing all the elements in the medicine wheel. I'm going to bring in now fire with a yellow candle. I'm going to share afterwards the energies of the yellow seed today, a day for blossoming. And fire helps us to connect with the divine spark within. And today is a beautiful sunny day here. So I'm also bringing in and invoking the energies of Taitai Inti, Father Sun, connecting with our inner fire, connecting with our inner gifts, what we're here to share with others, and to remember to reawaken the connection with spirit. That sometimes we're so much into the human go, go, go. I call it the human costume. Like Halloween, that we're dressed like humans. We're so much into this costume that we forget that we're also something else. And we're both at the same time. So may this energy of awakening our existence with the help of the elements help us also to remember who we truly are. I have here, just to bring in the energy of Palo Santo. Again, I'm not going to light it up just in case I need to run when all the alarm system goes up. So just bringing in the energy and the sacred spirit of Palo Santo. This comes from Peru, from the Sacred Valley. And in the center of the wheel, I'm going to put, this is a stone that is made of kind of an alabaster from the Sacred Valley, and it's called a chumpi stone. And the chumpis are used to connect, do energy work with our chakras and many, many other things. I'll share a little bit afterwards. So I chose the one that has the 4 points for the heart, for the connector between heaven and earth. And they all have always beautiful designs carved in them. And the one that I chose, it has a quinto. Quinto in Quechua, the language of the Incas, is a combination of 3 leaves, coca leaves. Here in the US, when we use it, we do bay leaf, not coca leaf, but in the origin, it's used with coca leaves. And the 3 leaves, I'm going to place it in the center of the medicine wheel, is to acknowledge the 3 worlds. The Hanak Pacha, the upper world, the Kai Pacha, the middle world, and the Uku Pacha, the lower world. And this is the base of any shamanic tradition as well, that we connect when we do journeys and so on, we connect to the 3 worlds. And again, I'll share a little bit about all this afterwards to give you a little bit more of information. As Maya said before, planting seeds, planting seeds of inspiration, so that in the different tools and techniques and modalities and practices that I'm going to just be touching on them, you can see what resonates with you and what you want to explore further, which I highly encourage you to do. And now that I have my medicine wheel completed, I'm going to bring in my mesa. The mesa is a medicine bundle that represents my power. Everything that I've learned, all the wisdom that I've gained, all the places that I've been, it's like a portable altar. And it's very empowering for the holder, the mesa carrier, and it's medicine that is used with others. So all the beautiful places that we've been together, Maya, she was with me everywhere. So my mesa travels with me everywhere, and it's infused with all the beautiful, loving energies of the sacred places. And I'm bringing in, also through the sacred sound, I just took the little bells, the red on the left side, representing the path of the divine feminine, and the white in the right side, representing the path of the divine masculine, so that we can awaken our medicine wheel and the elements of nature and the elements within with the sacred union between both. Putting our circle. And one more thing to give closure to this opening with the medicine wheel, a little rattle, just to activate. And each one of you. Very good. I'm going to use Agua Florida. Agua Florida is flower water. This one is, everything that I have here, most of it is from Peru, one of them from Argentina. This is also from Peru, but you can get it here in the US as well, or create your own flower water that helps to consecrate a space and also use it to cleanse our own energy body. 3 for the 3 worlds. And just protecting ourselves as we open sacred space. Very good. Okay. So before I share something about myself, I want to share just a few words about COVID, because a lot of people are talking about post-COVID era, which I hope so, but we're not that post yet. And what I want to share about it is that for me, COVID symbolically, metaphorically speaking, represents the cavern, because we've been very much in the go, 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 do, very much into the masculine, in this oppressing system of domination and the patriarchal society, and disconnecting from our own roots and the divine feminine. And symbolically speaking, COVID, even though it was not easy for all of us one way or the other, it was also, it still is full of blessings. Blessings of getting into the cavern, blessings of slowing down and listening and questioning and reflecting and opening up to new ways of being in the world. We sometimes have this narrow vision that things need to be in a certain way and there's no other way. And suddenly something so tiny that we cannot even see with our bare eyes, microscopic, stops the world, stops the airplanes. Everybody, not one country, one city, one area, one region, globally, we all need to go within. It's this place of the cocooning, or for the butterfly, the chrysalis, of really reconnecting with what is, and going through this metamorphosis, this profound deep process of transformation, so that we can all reawaken as humanity. So independently of our own personal journeys that are going through a lot right now, also as humanity, as a collective. And in this regards, I also want to mention something about the divine feminine, because the way I connect with it personally, there are two different ways of connecting with the divine feminine. From one side, women fully stepping into our own power, speaking out loud, showing up in the world for who we truly are. And as I mentioned before, we've been so imbalanced with this patriarchal old paradigm that now everything that is happening more in the activism side of women showing up in this place of we're equals. We're here to also be in positions of power. We're here to also have the freedom to vote and to, so it's not all over the world yet. There are many, many countries where still the divine feminine in this regards has a long journey to go. So from one side is this place of activism and being women and sisterhood, creating these beautiful groups as Maya has created, of connecting with each other and doing something beautiful together and sharing and learning and teaching and growing together. That's one thing. On the other side, divine feminine is also an archetypal energy that is genderless, that it goes beyond being a woman or being a man. And we all, men, women, non-binary, all of us, we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine within. And what happens is that they're both necessary, because the divine feminine brings us back into flow, into feeling, into flowing, into allowing, this place of receptivity, listening, creativity, creative flow, cycles, right? Because the seed is also about cycles, cycles, rhythms. And it's so necessary right now also for men to step into this energy of the divine feminine within themselves, the archetypal energy of the divine feminine. At the same time, if we're only in this place of flow and beauty and appreciation, but we cannot get anything done, we need to have the divine masculine of taking action, focusing, getting things done. So it's also this place, this invitation of the sacred union within that I mentioned as well a little bit when I was placing the elements in my medicine wheel, of finding this balance within of flow with focus, of feeling and thinking, of being and doing. We need this balance. So that's a little bit of a clarification that I wanted to share before we go deeper afterwards into the tools themselves. So who am I? Ooh. I come from a very non-spiritual background. I grew up in a family where nothing, no religion, no spiritual, no shaman, PhDs, MBAs, surgeons. So I come from a very academic and corporate environment. And I grew up in Brazil, in an area that was very similar to the cavern that I saw, because very green and very, not jungle, but jungle-like. Very, very, the abundance of Pachamama in its full expression. That's how I grew up. And for me, it was so obvious since I was a little child, the connection with the elements, the connection with life, speaking to trees, speaking to the flowers, of course, with animals. I had so many friends. And I was kind of the weirdo. I was like, okay. I was different. I was very different. And I grew up in this deep, beautiful connection of knowingness, of belonging, of being one with all that is. And then the fingers of you need to study, you need to do this, you need to do that, and all the programming and conditioning and the things that we start absorbing from our own parents and from society and expectations. I followed. And I got married, and I went to university, and I got a 5-year bachelor's degree, and I continued studying, and I got an MBA, and I continued studying, and I gave classes in university, and I was very corporate. I started very early. I started university when I was 17 years old. So my whole trajectory became very early in age. And when I was in my mid-20s, I was already a manager in a company with people reporting to me, traveling all over the world. I'm originally from Argentina. I was born in Buenos Aires. I was coming to the US for work quite often. And in appearance, I had the perfect life. I was young, I was successful, I was married to a good man, I had a beautiful house, I had a great job with all the benefits and all the titles. And I was not happy. And I really, really, really couldn't explain what the void was about, because supposedly everything that I learned, everything that I studied, everything that I wanted to be at that age, I had it and much more. It exceeded my expectations. And I was just not happy. And I spoke with a friend of mine. I shared with her what was happening. And she was like, okay, this is a phone number. Call this person. You had the chance to meet with her, Patricia. Call this person and just tell her exactly what you're telling me. And I'm like, okay, so what does she do? Doesn't matter, call her. That's how it all started. This was in the 90s. And I'm sharing this with you because it's this path of awakening that we really don't know how it starts or when it starts. For some people, it's through very traumatic experiences, illnesses, loss, accidents, and so on. In my case, it was not a traumatic experience, even though I have a very difficult childhood as well with its own challenges. But the moment of stepping forward and saying yes to that inner call, it was not because of one event. It was just that void that I was feeling that was kind of expanding. It was growing within myself until I said, basta, enough. I need to listen to it. I need to do something about it because I'm just not happy. So the path of awakening starts with that inner call. Whatever triggers it, the void, the trauma, it starts with that inner call that we all have at a certain point in our lives. Sometimes, some people, it's when they're very little, others in a later age, but we have that inner call that we know that we're here for something else, that we know that we're ready for something else. The problem is that we have no clue what that something else is. And that's where that confusion and stress and anxiety starts, because it's like, okay, so what's next? Where do I go from here? And when we have that inner call, the next invitation is to take action. I called my friend. I got together with her. She gave me a phone number. I called a person that I had zero clue what she was doing, just in case to clear the mystery. Patricia, she's an astrologer, Reiki master, flower bath therapist. She has tons of amazing modalities that she works with. In Argentina, we call it alternative therapy. So she's not a therapist, psychologist, but she's a healer. She's a healer. And very shamanic, and all the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you as well, directly or indirectly, are related to her. So we hear the call, we take action, and it comes to a point that we truly need to surrender. Surrender, trust the unknown, in spite of all of the fears and anxieties and question marks and this path of self-inquiry. And what happens is magic. Life, the universe, starts responding in amazing ways. We start getting to know new people and new tools and new trips for the soul. In my 90s, my trips are those that I went to. Later on, I started hosting myself. So life starts unfolding in very magical ways. I'm not going to continue with the harrowing journey steps, because I want to focus on many other things that I want to share, and leave some space open as well if there are any questions at the end. But what I want to share with you, or what my invitation for you, is trust. And trust is a key component of the seed. The seed is here to blossom. The seed is great potential. Anything can come out of the seed. But if the seed is afraid of the unknown and says, no, I'm not getting out of my skin, I'm not getting out of my shell, I'm safe here, I'm protected, I'm afraid of being vulnerable. So the seed will always stay as a seed. But if that happens, we have nothing else to eat. We come from a seed, symbolically speaking, as well. So we need the seeds to blossom. We need the seeds to continue the cycles. If I plant an apple seed and the next day I expect to have a tree, that's not how it grows, right? We hear always the expression that trees don't grow overnight. So this requirement that nature teaches us so beautifully of patience and trust. Things have their organic timing to develop, to unfold. And sometimes, because we get anxious as human beings and we start pushing too hard and swimming against the current and trying to make things happening when it's not their timing yet to blossom, we may end up killing the seeds, right? Or we start getting a lot of weeds, a lot of fears, a lot of anxieties, and we don't take care of those weeds, and they end up taking over our garden. So unless you want to say something, Maya, before I start diving into some of the tools, or I start, what would you like me to do?
Oh, start, sure. Yeah, everything's beautiful. I'm just mesmerized listening. So yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I'm just going to share, as I mentioned before, some of the main tools, or my favorite tools, modalities, practices, rituals that I love using. There are many more, but today I'm just going to focus on some of them. And one theme in common is that they're all ancient wisdom teachings based on earth-based, based on earth connection teaching. So even though they're very different frameworks to work with, they all have this commonality of ancient wisdom, as I like to say, applied to modern times. Because when Native American and First Nations start working with the medicine wheel, when the chakra system started, when the Mayan calendar started, they didn't have iPhones, they didn't have Facebook, they didn't have Zoom. Life was very different. So the issues that we have today are also different than the issues they had then. So as life on Earth evolved and our consciousness evolved, tools also evolved. So it's kind of difficult to know what is still in its purest expression and what was added as all these tools started growing. And the comment is that it really doesn't matter. Unless you want to be a Harvard professor and speak about the Mayan calendar or the medicine wheel in its purest expression on a cultural level, it's something different. But if we're just using these tools from a beautiful place of conscious awareness, of healing our own wounds, of transformation, of being of service, of creating a more beautiful place for all, it really doesn't matter from which place you enter, if it's the traditional, if it's the more modern, if what matters is the intention. So having said that, the intention that I have when using any of these tools is not really to gain more knowledge, which I love that as well. I love explaining what I do so that we can kind of, oh, okay. So I like the knowledge part as well. But in reality, it's about wisdom, and wisdom is not knowledge. Knowledge is something that we just accumulate, a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of books, a lot of webinars, a lot of gatherings. But until we don't put all that into practice, it's not wisdom. So in order to awaken the wise woman or wise man, whomever is going to listen to the recording later, within, we really need to put it into practice. We need to experience it. It comes through experience. And that's where the divine feminine comes as well. We need to embody it in our physical body, in our flesh, in our bones, in our cells, in our hearts. Because all the mental that also these tools bring, because we try to understand and make notes and Google and research and try to put our folders together, that's the masculine side. We can get kind of trapped into that mental state. And we have a lot of knowledge, but in order to bring that wisdom in, we start embodying it. And we say it even in our expression, bringing it down to earth. And that's something that I've been also experiencing a lot with the people that I work with right now, with all these amazing experiences that we're having on earth that all prophecies have spoken about. One of them is the reawakening of the divine feminine. The old is falling, the new is emerging, and there's kind of a clash of energies at the moment. So everything looks very chaotic, but there's a perfect order behind that. And what's happening with a lot of people that start the journey of the hero's journey, the heroine's journey, is that a lot of people stay here in the upper chakras. So a lot of the tools related to affirmations and meditations and ascended masters and angels and beautiful ways of connecting with the galactic beings, it's great, but it's not enough. We need to bring it down to earth. We need to be able to find ways, modalities, tools that help us to anchor our vision on earth. We are the bridge. We are the vessel. We are the instrument for spirit to manifest into form. And if we just stay in the spiritual realm, if we just stay in the upper chakras and we don't make it flesh, we don't make it concrete, it's beautiful, but we're missing a big part of the puzzle. So the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you have both, have the upper and the lower chakras connecting with the heart as our beautiful rose quartz. So let me share just a few words about the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is one of the most beautiful objects and ways of being that can be used in many different ways. I'm just going to mention very little, very superficial, just again, to plant seeds of inspiration that hopefully they'll blossom and you'll be willing to explore more. And one thing that is important to say about the medicine wheel is that depending on the location, geographical location, depending on the tradition, on the culture, you may hear like different guardian or animal totems for each direction, or where to put each color that I showed you before, the red, black, white, yellow, how to place them, how to invoke or call in the 4 directions. So there are differences. In essence, it's literally all the same. And what is the same? The medicine wheel is a circle divided in 4 parts. And each part, each pie, piece of the pie represents one of the 4 directions. And the directions of the north and the south, the east and the west, they have teachings. And there are many different ways. The way I started sharing about the elements was from solid to subtle. I started with the earth and I ended with the fire. Depending on the intention of how we use the medicine wheel, we're going to start with different elements and also placing the elements in different areas of the medicine wheel. So one way that I love is putting the fire, that's what I'm looking at right now, putting the fire in the east of new beginnings, where the sun rises every morning. And in the west, when the sun sets, the Mayans used to say that the earth swallows the sun. So the sun dies every night to be reborn in the east the next day. So that's the place of the darkness, of Pachamama, of the womb of the earth, of getting into the depths of the soul. In the south, the waters that flow, that help us feel good, that help us to shed and restore joy and passion and motivation and inspiration. And in the north, the air of our ancestors, divine wisdom, ancestral wisdom. That's one way of connecting with the medicine wheel. As again, the sun that rises and the sun that sets, the youth happy place of the waters that are boiling, and we're all inspired to do a bunch of things. And when we become elders, that we settle in and we awaken the wise one within. That's one way. Another way is the seasons of the year. The seasons start, let's say, with spring. So spring is a time of blossoming. So we can also see air in the east, a moment of new beginnings when we see, speaking about seeds, the little dots of green in nature waiting to sprout after this winter season. So the air starts, we see butterflies, we see birds, songs, sounds, and then we get to the south, and that's the place of summer, fire, and it's warm. And then we get to the west, and it's autumn, and it starts raining, and it's watery, and we start getting within. And then in the north is winter, when everything sheds, and it's a place of the earth, that everything looks naked to the eye, and the earth is going through this self-regeneration within. So I just mentioned two. There are many. You can literally place any element in any piece of the pie, depending on what you want to share and teach. The most important thing when we just start learning about the medicine wheel is the center. Because as human beings, if we connect with body, mind, heart, and soul, that's what the medicine wheel is about. And that's a song that you know, Maya, as well. Earth is my body, water, my blood, air is my breath, and fire, my spirit. So we are made of the same elements as the earth. And what happens on a human level is that sometimes we're too focused on one or the other. The typical one is the physical. I'm gaining weight, I need to go to the gym. And people get totally freaked out with their physical appearance. And everybody needs to look like a Barbie made out of plastic in a factory in China. And if you don't look at that plastic doll, then you're not beautiful. It's so, this world of appearances, what we're so stuck in the physical, disconnecting from mind, heart, and soul. Other people are very meditation, connection, affirmation, medicine wheel, blah, 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 pure spiritual, but they cannot pay the bills at the end of the month. And they're totally struggling because they cannot embody their presence on earth and produce something. So imbalance, body, mind, heart, and soul. If we're only focusing on one or two of these elements, we are not going to feel healthy. We're not going to feel balanced. So this place of the center of the wheel is the one that helps us to get back to the core of who we truly are, the essence of who we truly are. As I said at the beginning, we're not only human beings, we're also spiritual beings. And that's nothing woo-woo, because a lot of people, oh yeah, the spiritual. No, science says that we are matter and energy. Everything on this planet is made out of matter and energy. What is the energy world? Spirit. So some people connect through nature, religion, angels, it doesn't matter how we connect with. What matters is that we feel that we belong to something larger than ourselves. What matters is that we open up to being guided by divine inspiration, and we allow spirit, whatever we understand for what spirit means, to manifest into form through us, through our creativity, through our creative expression. So yeah, the place of the center, the place of convergence, the place of balance and harmony. Again, I can say millions of things more about the medicine wheel, but I'm just going to like touch on the different modalities, and then we'll see how we go with time. If we have more time, then you can tell me which one you're interested in, and we can definitely expand on that. So another, I don't know, Maya, if you want to say something, because you also continued exploring the medicine wheel and doing.
No, Mariela, I think everything you're saying is so true. Like you were saying, medicine wheel is used differently by different cultures, but the essence is the same. They're just, you can draw wisdom from its use, and that's all there is. It doesn't even matter where you put the fire, or where you connect with each element. So yeah, I'm totally with you. But the medicine wheel does have a lot of power for me. So as Mariela is saying, I'll just share, like, because maybe in the next season I'll do like an elemental body session, because this was the doorway for me, let's say. Or I guess you can argue that was maybe through the Mayan calendar, but I did meditative practices almost daily for a while through the medicine wheel. And it's a doorway in to practice, like Mariela was saying. So pick one, whatever shines to you. And yeah, so everything you're saying is wonderful. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Pick one and allow yourself to explore. Because as I mentioned earlier, we have this trap of the mind of getting polarized, good, bad. This is not how I follow, so the other version doesn't exist. And when we start exploring, that's what I do with the medicine wheel. If I do a despacho ceremony, I connect to the medicine wheel in one way. If I'm teaching about the power and the energies of the seasons, I connect to the medicine wheel in a different way. When I do the elemental work, or the little connection that we had at the beginning, I connect in a different way. So there's not only one way. As I said earlier, it depends on your intention. So yeah, I love, Maya, what you're saying, and also the elemental teachings that each one of the elements of nature has for us as humans, that we can learn so much to really dissolve all the blockages. As I always say, my work is not about teaching something new, but teaching how to unlearn what no longer serves you. So in order to really open up and bring in the new to come, we need to release all those preconceived notions that things need to do or need to be in a certain way, and if not, it's wrong. So there's no right or wrong. It's however it flows for you. So I'm going to share now a few words about engine cosmovision. I made a couple of notes to make sure that, because again, each one of these tools, modalities, they have so many layers that it's very, very difficult in a couple of hours or whatever we have to go over all the details, of course, but I want to make sure that at least I cover like some of the main ones. One of the prophecies that explain what we're going through, because as I said before, all prophecies in all continents in the world, in all traditions, are saying the same: the time is now. And now is not only one day, it's a transition that we're going through. And one of them, the Tari Paipacha, that in Quechua means it's time to meet ourselves again, which is exactly the same as what the Hopis say, we are the ones we've been waiting for. See, the people of the Quechua people see these times as the Pachacuti. Pachacuti means, one of the easy ways of interpreting it, everything's upside down. In case we haven't noticed, everything looks upside down, right? In the world and within ourselves as well. We're kind of in this rebirth that is still kind of shaky, chaotic. Where do we go from here? Like the awakening path that I was mentioning before, that we start with all this self-inquiry, what's next? And in the Pachacuti times is when really the soil is fertile for the new seeds to blossom. And what I love about Andean Cosmovision, I'll share first what Andean Cosmovision is. Andes, from the Andes. So we say Peru, but in reality, it's more than just Peru, but the core is the teachings of Peru. And Cosmovision is a worldview. It's a way of seeing reality. And what I love about Andean Cosmovision is that it's very rich in its approach to encompass all that is. It's an integration of everything. It's not that if you're super religious, you cannot do Andean Cosmovision, or if you're totally into the Mayan calendar, or if you use the chakra system. No, it's all part of the same. It's life, it's energy. All these tools, they're interpreters, translators. They help us to interpret reality. So what I love about these traditions is that everything is okay. You find your way to mix and match and create your own medicine. And I'll just mention a few of the so many beautiful things that Andean Cosmovision is about. One of them is the principle of Ayni. Ayni is the base of everything. Ayni, even though Quechua is not a written language, so you may find spelled in many different ways, but generally it's Ayni. Ayni is the principle of sacred reciprocity. As I give, I receive. As I receive, I give. And we're in this constant exchange. When we walk in nature, when we walk in this beautiful forest that I saw entering to the cavern in my meditation at the beginning, when we exhale, carbon dioxide is what the trees need to breathe. That's what they inhale. When the trees exhale, it's oxygen. It's what we need to breathe. We are in constant Ayni with nature. We forgot how to live in Ayni between us humans. So in this patriarchal old paradigm domination mentality, that the way that society has been unfolding in these last years, we have disconnected from our roots. We have disconnected from nature, and we have disconnected from Ayni. So it's more this power struggle of accumulation, who has more, and the mentality of competition. I cannot share my gifts because somebody will steal it and do something about it. It's all that place of the fear of no Ayni. Because the more we give, the more we receive, the more we receive, the more we give. Even when we talk about money, one way of calling money is currency, current, flow, energy. So anything, including money, is energy. It allows us to be in this Ayni of giving and receiving. So that's one concept that I want to share with you that is very beautiful. Ayni, the principle of sacred reciprocity. Another layer of Andean Cosmovision that is very beautiful as well, as we know about the chakras that I'll mention briefly afterwards as well, that there are 7 main centers. We know that there are more than 7 chakras, but the 7 main ones. In Andean Cosmovision, one way of connecting with our energy centers is 3, not 7, 3. So we have the area of the forehead. It's called Yachai. And Yachai is the power of wisdom. Amaru, that you mentioned before, is in the Yachai, or Yachak, they have a name, community where they share their wisdom. So Yachai, the center of the heart, is the place of Munai, of love and beauty, because Quechua is a very beautiful language that we cannot really translate because it's an energy language. It's not conceptual, concepts language. So it's beauty and love, because beauty and love are the same thing. And around the navel belly area, that's our power. And it's called Yankai. So Yachai, Munai, Yankai, wisdom, love, and power. And the same concept as the medicine wheel, we need to have our 3 centers aligned in order to be happy, in order to be connected, and in order to be successful in life. Because Yatai is the place where we open up to the wisdom of the ages, we learn new things and we start integrating them. Our hearts is opening up to the beauty of all creation with love, with authenticity. And the place of power, Liankai, is our service, our mission, what we're here to do, showing up in the world with our power from a place of empowerment. So that's another layer, the three centers. One thing that is super important, and that's one of my favorite words, and it will resonate with you, Maya. Life force, prana, chi, ki, like Reiki, in Quechua is called kausai. And within kausai, there are two extremes. One of them, one of my favorite words, hucha. Hucha, heavy, dense energy. And the other one is sami, more refined, light energy. It's not that hucha is bad and sami is good. Both are great. Both are part of kausai. Both are part of life force. The thing is that as human beings, sometimes we're so much into this density, into the fears of the lower chakras, into the human costume, that we feel hucha as something negative, as something dense, as something that brings us down, that feels very heavy on us. So the invitation in this path of awakening is to find ways that work for us to transform hucha into sami, or shadows into light. So again, that's another layer that I wanted to share. So a lot of the practices, modalities that we use in Indian shamanism in many different ways, some of them with crystals, some of them only with our hands, some of them with our mesas, our energy bundle, medicine bundle. There are many, many different ways. The intention is to release hucha, so that we can infuse ourselves with sami. Working with the elements is exactly that. That's what we do. We use the elements and the teaching of the elemental energies to transform hucha into sami. One more layer that I want to mention is the chacana andina, or the Andean chacana. And I brought it here. This is a chacana that most probably you've seen. Let me see, with a white background, no, with colors there. It's the Andean cross. This one is beautiful because it has like the light and the shadow in balance, the hucha and the sami in balance. And there's a hole in the middle. The hole in the middle is very, very, very important, because that's where we come from and where we're going to depart when we're ready to the next adventure. So the chacana as well, tons and tons and tons of teachings, and oh my God, so many beautiful representations. One of them is the Inca medicine wheel. So the chacana is the medicine wheel in the Andean world. And one of the ways of connecting with this type of medicine wheel, I mentioned at the beginning that they're guardians for direction. And when we hear the guardians, if we say hummingbird, Europe doesn't have hummingbirds. So it will not resonate with them if we say the guardian of the north is a hummingbird. They're like, okay, that's not ours. It doesn't resonate with us. So in this way of interpreting the Inca medicine wheel, you have the serpent in the south, the serpent that helps us to shed the skin, teaching us to shed the old, place of renewal and healing. In the left, in the west, we have the jaguar, or the puma, the energy of confidence and courage and facing our fears, like the jaguar and the puma do in nature. The place of death, where we give death to what no longer serves, so we can have this renewal energy and move forward in our path. In the north, we have the hummingbird, the little hummingbird that is always happy and joyful. And it's the only bird that can fly forwards and backwards and up and down and stop. And you say something so tiny, it flies 5,000 miles from the south to the north every year. It's like, how does that happen? Speaking about magic. So hummingbird is the one that helps us to drink from the nectar of life, step into the wisdom of the ages, learn to have that grace that flexibility of learning and expanding. And that determination, not determination, but that stamina, right? To fly 5,000 miles. And then we have in the East, the eagle or the condor, the place of new beginnings and oneness, and the condor that opens its heart big, and the eagle that opens its eyes, the power of vision, embodied vision. So yeah, so that's the Chacana, or the Inca medicine wheel, as it's called by the Four Wind Society. And then the last one that I want to mention, above, as I said before, among many, many more, but just little flashes and seeds of inspiration, we have what is called the luminous energy field. There is kind of a bubble, energy bubble around us. So our body doesn't end here. This is just the physical, but we have other layers that in the Eastern cultures, they're so good at that. They know that when we have a problem and we're like, we'll go to the doctor and like, oh, my liver hurts. They don't only look at the liver because we're a whole system, and they also look into the energy to see what the problem really is. Maybe it has nothing to do with the liver. So our luminous energy field, our tukpo, is this bubble that we need to also nurture and feed. The same as we feed our physical body, we need to nurture this place of connection, this place of resonance. And also something that is very, very important in any shamanic tradition is protection, because we are sponges and we absorb the hucha of others, of our environment, of the little things that are, or not that little, that are in the atmosphere, that if we don't protect ourselves and we always leave the channel open, that's why empath people suffer so much. Because if they don't learn how to close the channel and protect their own pokpo from the hucha of others and the environment, they're absorbing that density and it becomes their own. And then it's very difficult to know, am I absorbing something that is not mine, or is it something that is mine? And it becomes very difficult to be in this place of struggle, energy drainage and depletion. So let's leave it there because I know that and I want to focus on the tokens, the Mayan calendar. So just to mention a couple more that are very, very important for me. One of them is the chakra system. That's another roadmap to understand, interpret reality, and connect with our own energy. And one way of seeing it, we have this core, this axis that connects heaven and earth, and we have gateways in different parts of our body that open us up to different levels of consciousness. So in the base, in our root chakra, it's all the human stuff. The connection to money and health and the physical, safety, wounds from the lineage, what we carry from our ancestors. So there's a lot of healing to be done in that place because it's our roots. It's our roots and connection to the earth, to the physical. As we start going up in our chakra system, we start liberating ourselves from the hucha, from the struggle, and we get to the crown chakra where we open to the divine, to the sami, to the lighter experience. So again, we need both, because from bottom up, we liberate ourselves from the suffering, and from up to bottom, we manifest. Because as I mentioned earlier, if we have all these beautiful, great ideas and visions and so on, but they stay in a level of vision, we're disconnected from the lower chakra. So we need to bring that down to manifest it on earth. And the connector back to the crystal is our heart, because our heart is the fourth chakra. We have 3 above and 3 below, and this is the bridge between heaven and earth. What happens with the chakras is that when they're not balanced, either because they're deficient and it's the lack of, and I don't have this enough, or excessive, I have too much of this, we are not at peace. We're not in harmony. So doing chakra work, clearing the chakras and activating this energy is also a way to restore harmony. I'm not going to say anything else because again, chakras can be a many years time that we need to talk about it. One more thing that I do want to say before we get into the talking, finally, the Mayan calendar is creativity. I know, Maya. I brought it just for the fun of it.
Oh, how
the,
beautiful.
the,
I love it.
this is actually most probably one that we did together, because in every trip to Peru that we weave, remember?
I don't remember the bright yellow one. Mm-mm.
No. So maybe it's a following year or something. It was different. Playing with our hands, playing with our creativity beyond our hands, because creativity has nothing to do with art. Artistic skills are great, but we don't have to have any artistic skills. Maybe we love cooking and we just play with the ingredients and it's super yummy and we share it with our beloved ones and it's super creative. The way we connect with other people, we have creative relationships that are based in creativity, finding creative solutions to our problems. So it's not only what we do with our hands. For me, doing things with my hands is very, very powerful because it's also infusing the object or whatever I'm creating with my own energy. And one thing that is very, very important in regards to creativity, especially this new modalities that we see more and more, and I've been sharing with you, Maya, that that's what I've been focusing on in this last year, that I cannot travel. Travel is what I do for my practice. That's my main thing, and I cannot be on an airplane to South America mainly. So I'm kind of reinventing myself as well in this cavern stage of the cocooning of the COVID. Art therapy. And it has nothing to do with the final product. It has nothing to do with how it looks like. We're not going to put it in the wall. We're not going to put it on Facebook. We're not going to put it in the Museum of Fine Arts. It's not what we do, but it's about how we feel when we're doing it. So releasing hucha, transforming it into sami, connecting with the elements, connecting with the chakras, and all the other modalities that you can think of. Creativity is key to unfolding and to integrating those teachings so that they can transform into wisdom and not just stay from that place of knowledge, as I mentioned before. Okay. Are we ready to dive? I would love to have, if you have any questions or comments.
Sure. I just wanted to say, like, just to explain to those who are watching that what Marielma showed was the dream catcher. It was a yellow dream catcher that, and we made one. I think you make one every time you go to Peru with the group, and yeah, so that was an amazing experience, very illuminating for me when we traveled. And yeah, so I learned a lot also about creativity, and the group that we did with Patricia about exactly specifically about what you're saying, molding clay. And when we were, especially when we were blindfolded, it just made such an impact on me to be blindfolded and playing with clay. And then at that point, really everything, all the final product and expectation was suspended. And you just really feel your hands, your fingers in the clay. And it's so satisfying to me.
Oh, satisfying. Yeah, totally. And that's for me what creativity means. Thank you for bringing that in. Freedom of expression. One thing that I love about the word art, again, not art skills of going to university. We're talking about creative expression. Art, heart, earth. We shared that in the summit, I remember as well. Art is in heart, or heart is in art. Earth is in art. Art is in earth. The way we spell those words. So connecting, awakening the artist within is very powerful because we start seeing life with the eyes of Munai, of Sumach Munai, of beauty, pure beauty. And this reminds me, one of the summits that I participated lately, there was a woman that I don't know, I don't really understand pounds, but I want to say just something, 300 pounds, 400 pounds. She was gordita. And one of the works that she does is goddess. The way she moves, the way she expresses herself, she is so beautiful. And the interesting thing is that from the societal perspective, she doesn't fit into any description of what beauty is. because she doesn't look like the plastic Barbie from Made in China machine. And her expression and her femininity, however we say, her gracious movements. And she says, awaken your beauty. Look at me, I'm beautiful. She is a goddess. So that's for me something very important as a message in regards to creativity, that when little children come with their painting, that it's like, oh, mom, dad, this is you, and the only thing we see is scribbles. And we're like, oh my God, you did that. It's so beautiful. And we're really generally happy that they're allowing themselves to play. And then when does it happen that we grow up and everything we do is horrible? And we start criticizing ourselves, inner judgment, inner criticism. I'm not good enough. I don't do it beautiful. Others do it better than myself. I cannot draw because whatever I do looks like a 3-year-old. My God, inner critique, shut up.
When we get graded, that's when it happens. When we get graded.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're not good enough. You're not doing it right. You're not following the rules. And we disconnect from our creativity and what beauty truly, 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 truly means. So yeah, creativity is very, very important for me as a way of being. It's again, not what you do, what you produce, how it looks like. It's about who you are when you're doing it. And since you mentioned it, I have here also a little one. Here, I show. Let's see if I put something
on the background. Yeah.
Maybe putting something dark.
Yes.
You can
that's
see it,
better.
or something like.
Oh, that's
here.
something like this. Yes.
Here.
Great.
So this is a very tiny dream catcher. So just to mention a couple of words about the dream catcher, since it came, because it's also something Native American. It's weaving our ways into being. Connecting with an intention as we do a dream catcher. It's not an object that we buy in the shopping mall to hang in our wall because it looks beautiful. We can do that if we connect with it, but it's a very sacred object that truly helps us to connect with the web of life, with the circle of creation, of all that is. And one of the most important things of a dream catcher is actually the hole. You see the hole?
Yes,
because the hole, as the hole of the chacana, is where we come from and where we're going to depart. And in regards to the dream catcher, that we hang it by the window or a door, if we don't have a window, exit spaces, especially in our bedroom where we sleep, is because all the hucha, if we have nightmares or worries or things that we go to sleep with that create a lot of density, when we sleep, they get but waiting here. And in every dawn, they go through the hole and they dissipate in the space, in the universe. So it's medicine. It helps us to transmute, to transform hucha into sami. And then on the other side, the good things that stay in the web, in the net, come down through the feathers. And from the outside, it's protecting us, the net, the weaving, and the good things enter through the hole and come to us down the feathers. So yeah, so all these things are also very, I had here a couple more just to show. This is, I don't know if I used this when we went to Peru, because maybe it was from afterwards. It's a talking stick that I did. Green Planet Sanctuary, remember our Kathy?
Yes.
That she has your same energies in the token?
Yes.
This is from her Green Planet Sanctuary, from a bay tree. So when if I scratch it a little bit.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
And it has your crystal. So this is also something sacred, a talking stick that we pass around like a microphone. This one we did together here in Sedona.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, then maybe we did it as a necklace or something here as well. I glued to the, so these are just ideas of things. And again, I'm showing you handcraft. This is not what I'm talking about creativity, because some people are not into the handcraft part. This is something that I personally love because it's about doing sacred objects. It's not about doing something beautiful. This one here, this is kind of a joke a little bit because it's an incense holder.
Oh.
But when I was talking about the chakras, I forgot to show this, that we have the 7 chakras, the one that helps us to ground the roots, and the one that opens up to the divine and higher consciousness. So yeah, I don't know how we're doing with time, because again, I can continue, but maybe it's a good time now to dive into the
let's
talking.
focus. Let's focus
Yeah.
the sacred Mayan calendar or the modern Mayan calendar.
So what I'm going to do, because the incense finished quite some time ago, I'm going to put another one. This one,
Harmony.
because also what happens when we start talking about tools that we're not familiar with is that sometimes the mind gets a little bit overwhelmed, especially now that I'm sharing a lot of things at the same time, which is the intention of this gathering. But also maybe the mind is like, oh my god, I want to know more, and then we get totally stuck in the mental realm of trying to understand, and we disconnect from the heart. So the invitation now, putting harmony and reconnecting with the elements that I have here of the medicine wheel. Let's see. One thing that I didn't mention before, that I look and I see the roses, this is from the front of the house, and they grow. We give them water, of course, but we didn't plant them. They were here before. And as I mentioned earlier, we're literally located in front of one of the main vortexes of Sedona. So I wanted to bring in the energy of the vortex, the energy of Pachamama, the energy of beauty to be present with us. And that's also something very beautiful when we do, that I didn't mention earlier, but like an altar. That also, my altar is a medicine wheel. So I connect with the elements, placing them however I connect with the intention in that moment, to bring in Pachamama, not only through shapes of crystals and feathers, but also if we can have some fresh flowers, herbs. It's beautiful to bring in the beauty into the experience.
Yes. And also I just wanted to pipe in and say that, well, I also have roses. I also didn't plant in front of the house. But what's interesting that a rose, it's associated also through some of the, I guess, Christian maybe teachings with the heart energy and the divine feminine, like basically Mother Mary, or, from the Egyptian side, it would be like Isis.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we have the goddess energy all around.
I'm going to share with you a secret. It's not a secret, just to make it fun. This is a tiny dropper, like very tiny. Everything I have is tiny because I travel so much, COVID permitting, that everything needs to fit my fanny pack, my little, I know you have people from different countries, so it's not always called fanny pack, but bum pack. It has different.
A tiny backpack, whatever.
Yeah, the tiny pack that we put here, like a belt. So everything is very small. Everything needs to fit in. A lot of things need to fit in. So this one is a dropper that I created before we started the session. I put in the palms of my hands, and I'm going to do it symbolically, giving you all a drop here. With rose.
Oh, nice.
From Mika. Do you remember Mika?
Yes. Wow. I still have some of her oils.
Oh my God. So this is a combination, actually. It's not only rose. This is beautiful, beautiful rose energy. That's why I put it before we started the gathering, to connect with the divine feminine and the heart space. It also has a tiny drop of muña. And muña is a wild mint that grows in highland Peru, the area of the Sacred Valley where we go as well. I don't know if you bought oils from Lynn, that he also sold the muña and Palo Santo, and
not in my time, no. Yeah, but in Argentina, we went. Just say a little bit about the rose oil. That in our trip to Argentina, we went to this. She was a curandera. she's a beautiful, like, I guess, older woman who was just like full of magic. She had hummingbirds all over her house. She makes her own oils, and she grows the plants too. She has everything in her house. Well, right outside her house, like the machine to express the oils. It was rather amazing.
They have 25 acres. The thing is that we couldn't go because we didn't have enough time. And also we had some rain, remember, in that trip. But I don't remember how many kilometers or miles from their place, maybe 30 miles or something, they have lands of plants. And that's what also is an invitation for you. Sometimes we can't. But if we can, and today you can find a bunch of things online as well, try to go to the source. Sometimes those things are more expensive, even especially if we buy like in the US and to the little farms, but you really get to connect to the essence of the medicine of Pachamama, because sometimes we just buy in Amazon for $5 and it smells good, but it's a chemical process and extraction and ways of doing it that all the medicine properties are not there anymore. So if you just want to do it because it smells good and you put in your diffuser and your house smells amazing, great. But if you really want to do energy work, that's what I'm sharing with you today, it is important as much as possible to get to the source. One of the things that I do, I dry the petals of the roses. Now we just have normal, but last month it was like, Pachamama, por favor, please slow down a little bit. We didn't know where to put all the roses. We started putting them in bottles, in buckets. We had, kid you not, hundreds. It was like ridiculous. It started bloom, 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 bloom. Like Pachamama is so happy. So what I do, I dry them and I create my own oils. It's not essential oil because you saw the distilling machine, it's like a whole process. But you infuse the oil, that is jojoba oil or sweet almond oil, you infuse those oils, carry oils, with the medical, or not medical, sorry, the medicine, the properties of the plants, the flowers. I love doing that. And then I add the essential oils to the base oil that I've created with the vortex. Okay, let's talk about the Mayan calendar. So in the days of the Mayans, it is said today, we don't know how many, but today it is said that they had at least 17 calendars. And what they used to do, they were very connected to cycles, to the rhythms of life, to the rhythms of nature. And as today, we can easily see cycles, the moon. Now we have on the 9th, 10th, depending on where you are located, a new moon. So we know new moon, full moon, because we see it. So it's easy to identify those cycles. We have the cycles of the seasons, depending on where you're located in the world. Generally, the whole year looks the same. But nature does go through the shedding of the old and time of renewal, time for introspection, and so on. So Mayans observed cycles that we cannot see with our bare eye. Again, they didn't have iPhones and iTunes and iPods and Facebook and Instagram in that time. So they were way more in tune with the cycles of nature than we are. We have disconnected all the gadgets and technology and the industrial revolution and all the machinery. They, as all of our ancestors, it doesn't matter where we were born. All of the ancestors of our ancestors lived from the land. They were shamans in some way or the other. They were medicine people, the ancestors of our ancestors. So what Mayans did, they recorded those cycles. So each calendar was used for a different purpose. And the one that I'm going to speak right now, that I want to share with you, with Tzolk'in, which means the count of days, was the sacred calendar. That it is 260-day calendar that is more or less the same length as a pregnancy. So when we get in tune into the daily energy, we're constantly giving birth and rebirth to ourselves. It helps us to expand our consciousness, our awareness, our connection, our understanding beyond our analytical mind, right? There's this saying that I love repeating myself: mind thinks, heart knows. So it's a place of knowingness beyond our rational understanding. And this calendar, the same as with Western astrology, we have signs depending on the day we are born. Today there is an energy, every day has an energy. There is a sign that is very similar to Western astrology based on totally different parameters, but the way we use it, that it helps to interpret reality, who we are, what we're here to do, tendencies that we're going to have, the life purpose. I'm yellow electric star, and yellow star is about creativity. We had another person that I mentioned to you briefly, Maya Gauri, that she's also a yellow electric star like me. So it's the energy of creativity. We can express our creativity, as I said before, many different ways. We don't need to do dream catchers for that. But we will have a tendency to do creative things. And what happened in that moment when they were bringing the little baby born to the medicine man, they were saying, okay, so this baby was born today, and the sacerdotes, that we translated as priest, but kind of the concept of the priest, was saying, okay, this baby is yellow star, he or she will have tendencies for art. The person was not saying Picasso was born and his paintings are going to be in the Museum of Fine Arts. No, because we have the free will to choose. And that's a key component of any astrology or tool for interpreting our own energies. Because if we were given the gift of life, we were given the gift of free will. We can always choose how we embody our energies. And they have all the different signs. Same with Western astrology, the light and the shadow aspects. So sometimes we're more in the light, sometimes we're more in the shadow. And that's the beauty of learning. Okay, so what am I? Tell me, what am I? Because once we know what we are, it also gives us the opportunity to transform shadow into light, Hucha into Sami, by knowing, by getting familiar with our essence, with our tendencies, with what triggers us, with what motivates us. And we're like, oh, I totally see myself in the shadow side. Let me talk about my energy because it's the same as Gauri. Yellow star is about beauty. It's about creativity. It's about harmony. It's about stepping out of the routine and the ways of doing things and just creating, allowing ourselves to express ourselves on a soul level. That's in the light. In the shadow, I'm not good enough. Self-judgment. I'm not doing it right. I never did a dream catcher before, and I'm going to do it horrible. So self-judgment, self-criticism, perfectionism. Sometimes I suffer from that shadow, that I want it to look beautiful and be perfect, and I want to share something that my website that has a lot of. I drove my web designer, Yarko, crazy. It's like, oh my God, your yellow star is coming. It's okay. Yes, dear. I want it to be like this and the photo to be like that. And so identifying a huge shadow of yellow star that I mentioned before is we all need to look like Barbie and Ken. The world of appearances, that beauty is what People's Magazine says and not the beauty of perfection of nature in itself. So what I'm going to do right now, one thing that I think I didn't mention is that Western astrology has 12 signs and Mayan astrology has 20. So it's, again, the same concept. Instead of 12, it's 20. And what I want to share as well, just in case if you go to my website and you're already familiar with the token, there are 2 counts that are being followed right now. So depending on the date decoder that you use, you may get different results. You have the Cholquich, that is the Guatemalan traditional count. And you have the Tzolkin, that is the Yucatecan Mayan count, that was further developed by a person called Argüelles, and he created what is called the dream spell in correlation to the 13 moon calendar. Again, all the technicality doesn't matter right now. I'm just sharing this with you so that you're familiar, so that you know that it's like Vedic and Western astrology. They also have their differences. And in the days of the Mayans as well. Like today, when we say a happy new lunar year in Asia, the Chinese lunar year and Vietnam and Malaysia and Japan, even though it's all based on the same parameters, they start on a different days, they call the animals a little bit different. So here's the thing, again and again and again, there's no good or bad, right or wrong, or one better than the other. It's just the counts that you get familiar with and whatever resonates with you. So the one that I got introduced to in 1999, it will be 23 years shortly. It's the modern version of the Tzolk'in, the sacred Mayan calendar. So let's, I can speak in general. I'll share the energy of today first. I know that some people will listen to the recording maybe tomorrow or in a few days, but just to give you an example, because it's related to the meditation that you did, the guided journey that you did at the beginning with the seed. Today is a special day celebrating the yellow solar seed. Seed is the power of blossoming. And as I mentioned before, anything can grow out of the seeds. If I want to grow a beautiful garden full of roses and I plant tomato seeds, there's a lack of coherence there. So one of the things that yellow seed teaches us is the importance of being clear with our intentions. Why am I doing this? What motivates me? What is important to me? What is my why? And the clearer we are with our intentions, the easier it will be to plant our seeds accordingly. Our dreams, our visions, our ideas, things that we want to manifest, those are seeds. And that's the garden that we're going to create. And there's one very important component in regards to growing a garden, our lives. We're all talking metaphors, of course, in the Tzolk'in. And it is about, I mentioned earlier, patience and trust. Because if we're not patient and we try to accelerate things too much and we don't trust. If I do everything I need to do, but I don't trust that I'm going to get the husband of my dreams, the job of my dreams, I'm not going to get it. Free will. The universe is watching and the universe says, okay, my dear, I have everything you want. What do you want? So if with our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions, we're not in alignment, the universe doesn't know what to give us because we're sending mixed signals. So for yellow seed, not only having clear intentions is important, but also to act accordingly. If I want to lose weight for the summer, and the only thing I do is eating chocolate cake, I mean, now I'm hungry, it will be great. I'm going to enjoy my chocolate cake, but it's not going to be in alignment with my intention. So actions need to follow, need to be in alignment, need to be coherent with what our intention is about. So that's one information about yellow seeds. All the signs have different layers, light and shadow. I'm just mentioning a couple to give you a little taste for it. And taking care of our weeds. That's kind of a tricky one because we start a new project, we start a new job, we start a new relationship, and I'm like, oh, I had so many problems with relationships before. This is never going to work. But oh my God, we start putting all the weeds. We just started. We're not even giving the opportunity for that seed, that relationship, that job to blossom. It's full of weeds. So as I mentioned earlier, pay attention to the weeds. We need to do that work. And that's something as well that applies to all the tools. And I mentioned it very briefly. Love, light, beauty, blessings, affirmations is crazy amazing, but it's not enough. We need to do the shadow work. We need to dig deeper. We need to get to the root. We need to get to the depth of the soul, even if it's not comfortable. But that's the only way that we're going to really blossom because we need to clear those weeds. Okay, let's see. So tell me, Maya, because I don't know the ones that are present, a name of a person so I can share what that person is. I wrote down.
We have Dreama and Mary Beth. So let's talk about their energies.
Yeah, let's talk about Dreama. Ego. Ego is the power of vision. And ego is in money in the US, in the coins. Why is it there? Because it represents freedom. The ego opens its wings to fly. That's why it's a symbol of the United States of America. And what happens, light and shadow. Generally, we get more identified with our shadows than our light because that's the work that we're here to do as human beings. In the light, we can detach from the drama. We can fly higher and higher. We can see the big picture. It's easier for us to have this expanded vision so that we know what we want, what we don't want, what we want to let go of. There's an expression, don't let the tree for the forest or something like that, or the other way around. I always forget how to say that. So we see the forest, and what eagles do from above, they're very high, and they can easily catch their prey because they have a focused vision. So they see the big picture, and at the same time, they can focus on what they want. Some of the layers of blue eagle. Shadow, as I mentioned before, generally as human beings, we connect more with the shadow. That's our transformational journey. We have trees glued to our noses. Problems with health, with money, with relationships, with children, with parents, with neighbors, with taxi drivers. We have problems. And those trees block our vision. We cannot see beyond them because our vision gets blurry. And we feel stuck in situations that it becomes difficult for us to just spread our wings and fly. We feel trapped in, yeah, I wish I could, but look what's happening. I need to take care of this person that is suffering for the last 30 years. So we start having a lot of quote unquote excuses that are real life experiences, but the way we experience them, why we cannot fly. So that's one aspect. Extremes as us human beings always, shadows as human beings always come in extremes, right? They were super happy or super angry, or we're always kind of fluctuating. The other extreme of blue eagle is that sometimes we fly so high that it's difficult to land. We do see the big picture, but in this case, the other way around. It's not that we have trees glued to our noses. We see the big picture, but we forget that the forest is made out of trees. So a lot of people have this big vision, big ideas, great concepts, but they cannot bring anything down to earth. And at the same time, there's a big frustration. You cannot see it. It's awesome. It's amazing. I don't see it. And it's like, oh, I'm trying to show it to you. How else can I explain it to you? So that place of frustration that we see it and others don't. So we feel kind of a little bit lonely in our journey because we really want to share what we learn, what we know, what we do, beauty, and others are in a total different movie. It's not their time, it's not their vision, it's not their story, and we get totally frustrated. Again, I can say many, many, many more things, light and shadow, but I want to kind of touch on different ones. Is there anything, Dreamer, that you would like to share as a feedback that resonates with you or not? I'll continue, but how you experience the light and shadow aspect.
There I am. Yeah, no, that definitely resonates with me. I've often had that even I'm retired now, but when I was working, it was like I could see the big picture and trying to explain it to other people, or I had to learn to slow down and let them take it a step at a time, when I would often say, why aren't they there? I mean, you know, and it was frustrating. It was very frustrating. But
Right.
I think once it was pointed out to me that that's what was happening, it made it so much easier. So yeah, no, you that was pretty right on. Now I just have to figure out how to apply that to my retired world and my my vision for today.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, and that's a learning curve that we all have. I mentioned that I was married before. I got divorced many months ago. But actually I got divorced as soon as I started with all these tools. That's when I got divorced. So one of the teachings with the awakening path is to learn how to let go of. It doesn't mean we're going to get divorced, we're going to move to another country, we're going to let go of our corporate job. It doesn't mean that. But because we are transforming and we're becoming much more authentic and we're expressing our voice and we're sharing with the world who we truly are, some people may not like it because like, oh, woo, what do you do? Oh no, I know you in the corporate world talking in the United Nations, whatever, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, but that's too, where's your broom? So, and it's fine, it's their opinion. There's nothing broom, there's nothing woo-woo. This is life, this is nature. If nature for you is woo-woo, okay, it's your opinion. It's just reconnecting with our essence, reconnecting with our roots. So what happens, going back, Gemma, to your comment that is so important for all of us to learn, is that not everybody is ready. Not everybody is interested. Not everybody is capable. It's not their time yet. And that place of frustration that happens to all of us, of course, not only for Blue Ego or not, is that journey, as you said, now that I'm retired, oh, let's see how that ego is going to play. Use it in your favor. Share it with others, your vision, finding ways to express it in a way that many times when I write my newsletters and things about the Mayan calendar, I visually imagine talking to a 5-year-old. I put it in a way, I try to express myself in a way that is as simple as possible, because these tools, especially the talking, can be quite complex. There are tons, as you know, Maya, there are tons of layers and things that are happening at the same time, and our mind can get very overwhelmed. That's also the shadow of Blue Ego, that it's like, whoa, too much. So finding the way that we can express ourselves and show up in the world for who we truly are, and at the same time, acknowledging, as you said, they pointed it out to me, and then I understood, yes, I can see it's that I had that vision, but they didn't. Yeah, that gives a lot of, I can breathe now. It's not that something is wrong with me, it's just that we're talking in different language. So I need to kind of lower down a little bit my expectations or my frustration, dissolve my frustration, and understand that we are all different and we have different ways of seeing things, because Blue Ego is about perception. How do I perceive? And when we start shifting our perspective on life and what life is about, and these tools are perfect for that, and we expand our vision, we start changing the way we experience reality. And for a lot of people, that can be challenging because they're not there yet. It's not their choice, or they don't know how to do it, or they're afraid. There's a lot of fear to step into the unknown, as I mentioned in regards to the awakening path. So yeah, dealing with that frustration is part of the journey of sharing one's vision. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mariela. Maribeth, do you want to ask your questions, and can we look into Maribeth's energy next?
Yeah. Shall I do that?
That'd be great.
Okay, cool.
I love that.
Yay. As Maya said, we always ask for permission, right? Otherwise, we step into people's energy. Blue storm. I'm going to talk about the blue storm in regards to my niece. First, my brother is a surgeon. And for him, life, God, nature, shaman, everything is in a surgery room. There's not much after that. So he's very academic and corporate, quote unquote, like very much into his work. When his daughter was born, my first niece, she was born the day of the storm. So she's blue storm, guided by the storm, in the wake of the storm, in the year of the storm, guided by the storm. I told my brother, oh, she comes with a lot of energy of transformation. Be very patient, because she will know what she wants and she'll go for it. And you can feel kind of stormy for the environment to deal with that intensity. So my brother's like, oh my God, you and your mind calendar, whatever. Yeah, right, blah, 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 woo stuff. A year later, he was like, I think you were right. And now that she's, 12 or something? Yeah, there is something stormy there. So what is blue storm? Blue storm is exactly the energy that we need right now in the world. We cannot keep holding on to things that no longer serve us. We cannot continue living in a way that we are destroying our beautiful planet. We're killing the earth by doing what we're doing to her. The earth doesn't need us. She will continue, but we're poisoning her. We're damaging big time our ecosystem. What we're doing to the streams that you shared, Maya, not that long ago, a beautiful email that I was reading in tears in my eyes, all these corporations putting stuff in the waters and extracting water like it will never end. So blue storm is the ultimate power of transformation and self-generation. That's what we need. We need to transform in the depth of the problem, not superficial putting flowers and everything is okay. No, everything is not okay. We need to go to the depth of what's really happening, to the cause. So what happens with storm, light and shadow, when people hear about storm, they're like, uh-oh, storm, chaos, intensity, turmoil, turbulence. It feels very stormy. And that can be seen as a way of connecting with the storm from the shadow side, that sometimes storms are so intense that there's a tsunami and a whole village disappears. There's an earthquake. There is a whatever, a catastrophic event. But that's not what blue storm is about. That's how we experience it as human beings, the inner storms, the inner earthquakes and inner tsunamis. Storm in nature is truly what helps to restore balance. Because when, especially here in Sedona, I was sharing with you, Maya, before we started the gathering, here in Sedona, Arizona, it has been so dry. We had a real bad fire last week, 10 days ago, and now they closed all the trails until September, unless there is a huge storm and it rains for several days, then they may do something about it. But if there are no storms that bring that water, that bring that energy of renewal, that takes that dryness out, everything's closed. So we need storms. The thing with the storm, I have here, I forgot to show it. So let me first show it for, here what I'm doing, I just printed some of the glyphs so you can see how your sign looks like. So this is yellow seed. This is the energy of today. So we have here a seed that is ready to sprout, and this is the earth opening, receiving the fertile soil that is receiving the seed. We have blue eagle. Look what happens with blue eagle. Look at the size of the eye. Look at this. Whoa, I can see it. It's a huge eye. The power of vision. The one that can see the entire picture from above. It has a big eye. And blue storm, symbolically speaking, also has an eye. This is blue storm. That eye is the most important message. Storms will always happen. We all have problems. We all have issues. We all have traumas. We all have dramas. We all had parents. We all had scares. We all had things that have felt as storms in our lives. The thing is to learn how to stand still in the eye of the storm. It doesn't matter how turbulent it is around us. It's finding that place of peace within so that the storm doesn't take us to places we don't want to be. Maya knows because we also visited us there after Peru. I lived in Houston, Texas for many years. And right now, it's between June and November, it's hurricane season. And I had the blessing of being in the middle of a hurricane. It was Ike, and we were without electricity for several days, and flooding, and houses cut in half, and cars. It was very strong. And what was amazing about it, because it started late towards the night, and it was the whole night, is that it was chung, pam, boom, and cars and like noisy, and trees flying, and suddenly quiet. The only thing you could hear was your own breath and your own heart pulsing like, okay, what's next? So beating very fast, but it was the only thing you could hear for a few minutes. And then, blah, blah. So what happened? We're like, okay, and we didn't have internet, we didn't have phone, we didn't have nothing. Everything fell. And nobody, dogs barking, nothing. It was just one's breath. So what happened? What did we learn the next day? The heart of the storm was moving. It was like miles long. It was huge. But because of the winds and the way that hurricanes work, from time to time, we were in the heart of the storm. And then when it was moving, we were back into the turbulence. So I'm very happy because now I can talk about the blue storm, not only as a concept, but I've been there to really learn this place of stillness. It doesn't matter how many cars are flying in trees and the houses are being destroyed and chaos. I can still breathe. My heart is still beating. And I come back to self and I transform. And it's also this path of awakening that I mentioned before, because as we embark in this journey, a lot of things are going to be transformed. And at the beginning, there's kind of also resistance or the fear, because we see that people start questioning us and seeing us a little bit weird. And some people really don't want to spend that much time with us anymore. So we started kind of experiencing, did I say something? We started experiencing a transformation that not always is comfortable. Again, I got divorced. I let go of the corporate world years later, but I did. So not necessarily the path is comfortable, but it's beautiful. Because after the storm, the sun comes. And the storms bring renewal. That's what the energy of the storm is about. Transformation, renewal, starting fresh. So yeah, please, we need a storm in Sedona. I want to go back to the trails to do my hiking. I cannot go anywhere. See? So we need storms. So how does it resonate with you? Okay, just to mention 2 words about the shadow side. We're afraid of change. We keep holding onto what no longer serves us. And we start suffering and struggling because that just doesn't feel good. But the fear of the unknown, the fear of change make us stay in those turbulent relationships, jobs, situations with family, whatever it is. And the other thing as well is having difficulty or not knowing how to find that place of stillness. So the turbulent energy of the storm is very difficult. We don't know what to do with that intensity. So we get anxious or nervous because we're not surrendering to the flow of the storm and we don't allow it to purify us and get into this place of renewal. So we experience the storm as a big tsunami or a hurricane or earthquake. Anything, Maribeth, that you would like to share or give us feedback or question?
Oh my, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I unmuted myself a while back. I forgot about that. So I study water. And so it's interesting that you talked a lot about water and renewal through water. I very much relate to the storm and the transformation, and that I get people that are scared of me because they're not ready for the storm to come through. And so I'm like right now in this period of meeting people that can stay grounded even though the storm is coming. Because it's yeah, a lot of people are sort of like run, duck, and cover. And I'm trying, like, so for a while, like I'm kind of a chameleon and I just fit in because I'm in academia, and I was quiet. I've just been quiet, just observing, I study aquifers and how groundwater and surface water connect, and it's so cool. And I sort of cut off my art side and for the sake of survival, but I'm reconnecting to that, and that's scary to people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people love it, or some parts of people love it, and then other parts of them have a really hard time with it, and it's very intimidating. So I'm just trying to figure out how to not be intimidating, despite, like, make it fun. Essentially, you said something earlier about a Quechua word that was about fun. It was like, I don't remember which one it was, but playful. You said playful. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Playground. Here we go. Pachacuti.
No, Pachacuti, see, that's the interpretation of the storm. Pachacuti is when everything is upside down, when there's chaos. See, you interpreted Pachacuti as something fun. I love it.
Wait. Is Pachacuti not something fun?
Not really. It depends. I can
Only for the blue storm, it's fun.
I love that. See, I'm so happy it came.
But you said playground. I wrote Quechua is an energy language, and then I wrote Pachacuti playground.
I love it that this is recorded, so Maya is going to send it again, and you can listen to it without the filter of the storm, because life is a playground. We're here to play. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy ourselves. The thing is that sometimes the storm is so strong, either in our own personal journey or what we're experiencing right now as humanity, that it's difficult to play. It's difficult to have fun. It's difficult to enjoy ourselves. So Pachacuti in Quechua means Pacha, which is one way of saying earth or our existence here. Pachacuti means when everything is upside down, it's chaos. Chaos can be very fun and can be very scary. Most of humanity is experiencing this Pachacuti not as something fun at all. It's intensity and the fear of change, the fear of not knowing how this continues, the fear of uncertainty. In the Quechua way or in this prophecies, this happens around every 500 years, that we have Pachacutis where things are shaken up. So for the people of these lands, this was with the colonization around 500 years ago. That was also a huge Pachacuti because they were totally Pachamama, connected to the earth, connected to the cycles, super ritualistic. I didn't even touch on ritual today, but that's a key of all of my practice. So any of these tools or rituals and ceremonies in themselves, they lived life as a ceremony. And then white men came from Europe and destroyed all of that. That was a mega Pachacuti. That was a disconnection from the roots, from the essence, from the wisdom. If you were speaking in Quechua or here in the US as well, oh my God, people couldn't, or now for some reason, everybody's talking about Canada, what happened to the little native children in Canada, all the genocides and all that, they couldn't even speak their language, they were getting into trouble. That's part of the Pachacuti. So not necessarily something fun. But I love it. I love it. As Maya said, only a blue storm can interpret the Pachacuti as something fun because it's turbulent, it's changing, it's intense, it's chaotic, it's exciting. And that's for me a way of seeing it because again, COVID has affected me personally big time. My job is being on an airplane and hosting groups for the soul around the not the world yet, but it will come, or hosting groups here in Sedona. I haven't been able to do my job for 18 months. So how much are we right now? 16 months or something? It's a disaster. And at the same time, I'm so happy because this cavern, this cocooning of reinventing, of opening up to new things, of having much more time to do other things that I love with people as well. Being in this events. If I was traveling today, I couldn't be here because most of it wouldn't have internet. You know, Maya, where we go in the middle of the mountains. Mm-hmm. So there's so many beautiful things coming up with this as well. So for me, this place of uncertainty and the unknown and how is it going to continue and when am I going to be able to be on an airplane again and all that, does create anxiety. Of course, we're all humans. And at the same time, it creates excitement. So what's next? When we're able not to go back to normal, it's a new normal, thank God. When we're able to start traveling again overseas and doing stuff, Pachamama has been renewed. People are more excited to try new things. So many more people are awakening up right now because they're starting to question, I cannot continue doing business as usual. So who am I? All these false identities are being stripped away and people are starting to question themselves. So for me, it's much more a place of excitement, this Pachacuti, and fun than chaos. But chaos is existing. A lot of people are dying. Blessing. A lot of people are dying. A lot of people lost loved ones. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people have little children to feed and they don't have any income. A lot of people had to close their businesses. So that's not fun. So it's all about how we experience it. And but I really have no clue what I said before about the playground in regards to creativity, for sure, that we're playing, we're exploring, we're trying, we're transforming. And that's also kind of interesting to bring as well, how, because of all the programming and all the conditioning and all the self-limiting beliefs, we are afraid of change. The cells in our body are changing as we speak. When we go to sleep and we wake up, a lot of the cells in our body died and new ones were born. the fear of change is the biggest illusion of all, because we're changing 24/7. This breath doesn't exist anymore like this. So yeah, this is a part of the excitement of the Pachakuti that starts shaking us up and gives us this opportunity of renewal. How does it resonate with you, what I'm sharing?
So, well, part of me feels a little embarrassed that I like completely misinterpreted the word, because I literally thought it meant playful. But so it's interesting. I want to go back and listen to it, because I must have just missed the definition. But I 100%, I mean, I didn't mean to say that I thought that chaos is always fun. So I don't think chaos is always fun.
It was a joke I made. It was a joke I made on the Blue Storm. It wasn't even.
Yeah, of course. But invitation. Don't feel embarrassed, because I see these times as playful, in spite of the suffering, in spite of the business, in spite of death, in spite of the pain that is happening big time, that is affecting all of us one way or the other. But I see so much playfulness in this as well. People getting back into their cocooning stage, learning new skills, having time to create, parents homeschooling, being there for their children, Zoom exploding. That's also one of my weaknesses. I'm zero technology. I really need to change that, because my social media and doing stuff in Zoom. So I'm now also reinventing myself in that regard. I love the 101. I love the hugs and kisses and having to do things through the computer, but it's the age that we're living in right now. So that's also playfulness. That's also playground. This place of huge opportunity. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just, that's how I've been able to connect with people. So is thinking of things in a playful way, so that it's not so like, so what I'm offering isn't threatening. And I think, quite honestly, my external appearance has somewhat helped with that, because I'm not quite as intimidating as a 5'1" white, like tiny white woman. But it's just hard. It's like, so there's a lot of darkness with change, and there's a lot of light. And I am trying to see the beauty of the darkness.
I love what you're sharing. A couple of days ago, I was sharing with Maya that we had a huge storm. It was quite scary. Actually, the previous fire that I said it was 10 days ago or last week started with lightning. So it was the beginning of a storm. And then we had water, this renewal. It was quite scary. Our pets, oh my God, all this noise and the thunder and the windows. We had huge windows. And it was like, oh my God, the house is going to fall apart. And it was quite scary. And it was so beautiful at the same time. It was so powerful to hear Pachamama, to hear her voice, to hear the rain, to know that the trees and the flowers and the birds and the animals were happy. We have creeks everywhere. It's dry. It's like the water is like this. It's really bad for the earth. So I love what you're bringing in, because this place of darkness is part of all that is. And it's this place of balancing, right? Light and shadow, and acknowledging the shadow, acknowledging the darkness. Because a lot of people, that's also something that I said before in a different context, they don't want to see the shadow. They put flowers, they put makeup. It's okay, and they live in denial. It comes to surface sooner or later. We cannot deny the darkness. We cannot deny the shadow. We cannot deny the hucha. It will come up. So when we acknowledge it, even if it's not comfortable, and we do something about it and we're willing to transform it, that darkness, those wounds become our main teachers. And
well,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
That's so one of the things that I've been really trying to find words to express is the beauty of the darkness, and how when we view darkness as purely something to pass over or something to cross over, or like purely as a transformative process. I too think we're missing something, because, and I think there's a huge amount of cultural implications for people with darker skin, where we are just demonizing the dark, whether it's skin, whether it's the outdoors, whether it's our psyches. And I'm really trying to find words to express the beauty of the dark. And
I love it. I love it.
I mean, and I think the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement that's going through university systems is part of that. But in terms of, I guess, like in the communities, more spiritual communities, I still hear people talk about darkness as fundamentally bad and something that people have to sit with. It is uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. But there can, like you're saying, be comfort within that stillness or within that storm. And so I'm just like, I don't know if you have words for how to even words to bring that sort of energy language to describe that the beauty of darkness.
The night. Night is dark, and night brings birth to a new dawn. So we need the night in order to have a day. We need that time of renewal, where the cells of our bodies die to be reborn. So one thing that you said, the bad connotation about the darkness and the dark skin and all that, it is said that we all come from Africa. So supposedly all of our ancestors had dark skin one way or the other. There's a lot of conditioning, programming, things that in this patriarchal society of domination and greediness and power have disconnected us from beauty, from the truth. In the Tolkien, one of the most sacred numbers, not only the Tolkien, any Mayan calendar, any ancient calendar, 13 is a sacred number. The 13 moons in a year, the 13 joints in our body, the 13 weeks in am I saying it right now? In a season? How does it work now? 13 is a sacred number. As above, so below, as within, so without. 13 is everywhere. And I don't know if it's around the world, but at least here in the US, a lot of buildings don't have the 13th floor because it's something bad. Tuesday the 13th, Friday the 13th. What was his name when we were little? They were Freddy Krueger. The 13. It's a bad rap. 13 is a number of power. So a lot of things in this illusion that we live in, power was taken away from us. And yes, Hucha and Sani exist. And we can see Hucha as the darkness, the cavern of the womb of the earth, getting into the depths of the earth, can be a very dark place that brings a lot of light, a lot of beauty. So it's this Yananti Masintin, right? The complementary of the opposite. Day doesn't exist without night. Light doesn't exist without darkness. We need both. In this Sky Pacha, in this middle world, we need both. As humans, we're not comfortable with the darkness. I'm not talking about the dark spirits or dark, mean ways of humans. That's something totally not related to what we're talking about. I'm talking about the darkness of the sheath of transformation of the storm and the power of renewal and death to give rebirth that we're afraid of. It's an illusion. You're going to say something, Maya.
I just wanted to say, can we have like 3 more people to cover, and the time is kind of flying. So I wanted to see if we can talk about their energy, light and shadow, and if you can show the glyph for them.
Yeah, let's do that. Lots to continue exploring, Maribeth. It's a lifetime journey. It's not just a couple of hours or a week or a website or a book. It's a lifetime journey.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And don't feel embarrassed, because I also see it as a playground in many ways. So this is Tiffany. And Tiffany is the energy of the mirror. And the mirror is the power of discernment. And I mentioned that briefly before. We try to put flowers on things that don't deserve flowers. We need to go into that depth to really see what is there, not to cover it, or how do we say the expression that we put things under the carpet so we don't want to see? It's still there. So the opportunity that the white mirror energy brings us is the power of discernment, to see the truth for what it is, rather than being in denial for what we wished it would be. And the more we allow ourselves to restore that connection with the truth, rather than also projecting our own ideals, projecting our own fears, and distorting, right? Because we end up walking in life through a distorted filter of what reality is about. Our beliefs are not the truth. The way we perceive reality is not the truth. The truth is the truth. We have many different ways of interpreting it. And when we start living in denial, or we continue projecting things, it's a way of interpreting it. So the beauty of white mirror in this power of discernment, of connecting with the authentic self, the authentic situation, is that reflection, like the mirror. When we look at the mirror, the outer and the inner worlds are reflected. So the mirror is this energy of reflection that we can use also to become a mirror to others. Be the mirror you wish to see in the world, with your actions, with your kindness, with your forgiveness, with your way of being. So yeah, becoming very mindful that it's also how we show up. One thing that I'm looking here, I don't want to get into details because it's another layer of energy and we don't have time, but the wave swell that we're born in, that you mentioned very briefly, the word wave swell at the beginning, Maya, is like the week we were born into. Both Tiffany and Catherine have the blue monkey in them. So the energy of the playfulness and joyful and mirror, because also spirituality, for some reason, we take it too seriously. If we look at Dalai Lama, or you, Maya, you have the chance to meet with our beautiful makeup or the essential oils,
Yes.
Don Francisco, Don Humberto, all the shamans, all the medicine men and women in Peru, they are kids. They play, they are fun, they're like full of joy, and their work is crazy, amazing, powerful. They're real, what we say, shamans. They're the medicine men and women of generations and generations and generations and generations. So life can be very playful. And using the mirror of discernment to transform by letting go of the illusion of the shoulds of what we would like it to be, it can also be very playful to say, okay, let's experiment, let's try, let's cut with that illusion, let's clean that foggy mirror, so that that inner and outer reflection is harmonious. Otherwise, what we see is not what we want, what we get is not what we feel, and we feel that lack of harmony. So white mirror helps to restore that harmonious reflection, so the choices that we make and the discernment that we use. If we want to, free will. We can also continue walking in life with a distorted reality and being in denial of the things that we don't like. We can do that. It's a choice. So we have also Catherine, right? Catherine is also Blue Storm in the way of Blue Monkey. So I mentioned that before. So it's this transformational experience through the joy and playfulness. Blue Monkey in the shadow suffers like little children when we have wounds from the past that we are not able to heal, or we don't know what to heal. We don't know even what it is and what is there. We bring in those wounds, and as we grow up and we become adults, it's difficult for us to play. We become very serious, we're wounded, we worry too much. So as Maribeth was saying before so beautifully, to bring that playfulness, to bring that joy, so that intensity of the storm is something happy, not necessarily comfortable, but it is experiential renewal. So that applies to Catherine as well, what I shared before for the energy of the storm in a different combination, because we're talking about, it's called an oracle, like a birth chart. So this is the main sign that we say, okay, one person is Pisces, Aquarius, Leo, that's the main sign. But when we look into the charts, not all the Leos are the same. It depends where you have your moon and your other planets. So here's the thing. Now I'm keeping it super, 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 super simple and basic to make it as easy as possible to start with. So the different storms, Catherine and Maribeth, are different combinations.
Can I just say one thing? I'm gonna be. I need to leave the room like 2 seconds. I'll be back. Just don't pay attention to me if I'm gone.
Oh my God, no. Okay, so I'm going to continue. So we have Yvonne, and Yvonne is Red Serpent, same as Maya. So Red Serpent is the energy of passion. As we know in yoga, that we know the Kundalini energy. In health, when we go to hospital, the logo is the two intertwined serpents. So it's about physical health. So in the light, serpent is very passionate, is very lots of energy and lots of ideas and lots of things. And it has this Kundalini fire to do stuff. It's also very mysterious, like the cavern, because the serpent goes to the depths of the soul. In the Chakana Andina, or the Inca medicine wheel, the serpent represents the energies of the south that goes to the depths of what it is. So, So, serpent teaches us to shed our skin, to shed the old, to shed what no longer serves. And what happens in the shadow side is that many times we are go, 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 do, because of all the passion and all the energy. And then it's like, oh my God, I feel exhausted. I cannot step out of bed. I cannot take one more breath because I've done so much. So in the shadow side, we cannot stop. Too much passion, too much energy, too much doing, too much going. And another layer of the serpent is that serpent is about instinct. Listen to your gut feelings. As humans, we are taught to listen to our minds, to the rational, to the logical, to the mental, to the masculine. And when we get back to the womb, when we get back to the guts, when we get back to that instinctual self, the wild woman, that's where the answers reside, not in our minds. Our minds are complementary. Our minds are the administrators, or the ones that handle, but not the ones that are in control all the time. Otherwise, we disconnect from the lower chakras. So yeah, so Red Serpent can be very analytical and mental, and the invitation is to get back to the womb space, to the wild self, to the instinctual gut feeling. Anything else?
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful. I think we've covered everyone's energy. We're good. I would also suggest, if you want more and want to explore the deeper layers, as I mentioned, Mariella's site is extremely, extremely explanatory. You can find it all on your own. There's a there's a page where you can put your date of birth, and then it will show you all the energies. It will read your energy. It will talk about the moon tone. So there's a lot of things. If you want to discover, you can just dive into the website and just have fun.
And that would be great as well, because I know that the group is larger, but you didn't get all the birthdays. If you listen to this recording and you just want to gossip and be curious and say, oh, so let me see what I am, that can also be a playful way to connect to their own energies. And then the problem is that you go bananas. That's what happened to me almost 3 years ago, that you're like, oh, and what is my mother? And what is my father? And what is my sister? And what is my child? And what is my pet? And what is my neighbor? And it's like, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I need to go to sleep. See, that's something that Red Serpent and Yellow Star have. Yellow Star is because of creativity. Oh. And Red Serpent gets all passionate. And it's like, oh, I need to go to sleep now.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you, Mariella, so much for your wisdom. You're sharing so generously with us, with all your knowledge, all the things you've learned and accumulated over the years, I think it'll be super fun for all of us to just like re-listen and digest and see what what else we can learn. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for the invitation, for the beautiful women present and the ones that are going to listen afterwards. One thing that I would love to do, because I talk for 2 hours and the mind gets full, and we want to get out of our mind, I will do it. It's like not even a minute, just to look how beautiful. It was painted by, you know her, Erlinda. She has a beautiful shop in Pisa.
Wow,
I told her
gorgeous.
exactly what I wanted, and she did her own interpretation.
Gorgeous.
So I'm going to play the drum just for 2 seconds, like just to bring us back into our body, because for the last 2 hours or more, we've been very much in our head, and it's important to ground again and to let go of concepts. So just you can close your eyes if you want to or not, and feel your feet in the ground. Take a deep breath in and allow yourself to release. The breath is very, very important in any shamanic tradition, especially in the Indian way. Everything is done through the breath. Feeling your heartbeat, feeling the beat of the earth, the heart. Feeling the vibration inside of your body. Don't forget to breathe and just release. Generally, I play my drum for 30 minutes. I know we don't have the time for that, so just that's it.
That's wonderful. And with the drum, we'll take yourself out of our sacred cavern, bring yourself back to where you are presently, in your moment, in your room, wherever you are, driving, walking. So
yeah, and use your body
here.
as a drum as well, because when you talk and talk, try mute yourself and try it. It's so cool, but you need to make noise.
It's nice.
Here. It's super good. And when you beat yourself, not beating yourself up, but just very gently, it helps to get back to the to feel grounded. Okay, thank you. I wish you a beautiful yellow seed day. Continue blossoming. And thank you again, Maya, for your...
Thank you. It's been wonderful. And so the recording will go out to everyone. And thank you so much, Mary Beth and Dreama, for joining us. And for all of you who will be listening later, take care until next time. Hopefully in August, you will hear from me.